Okay.
Also, if you're on this call, like follow us on social media if you want to. We'll give you the latest scoop on
Oh
Penn.
yeah.
Yeah,
Really
you
plugging in social media.
You can DM us.
Mm-hmm. Now that we have so much time on our hands.
Stop. I'm so upset classes are over. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, what am I supposed to do with myself now?
I have
So
a paper
true.
due tonight that I haven't finished yet, so that's good.
Wait, for what class?
Bioethics.
Oh my gosh.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, so I think we'll just go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and welcome to the Penn CollegeSide Chat panel discussion. First and foremost, we hope you all are healthy and well. This horrible virus is affecting communities across the world, and we empathize with you all as you navigate the already anxious transition to college during a pandemic.
Yeah, so we hope this fireside chat really provides you all with a glimpse into life at Penn and an opportunity to hear about our panelists' stories and their experiences. So this discussion is going to be about an hour long. The first half is going to be your panel answering previously submitted questions that you guys sent in, while the second half will be an open discussion for everyone.
We encourage all of you to turn on your cameras so our panelists can see who they're talking to. However, only do so if you consent to being recorded. This will be put on a YouTube and you guys will have links shared later on. We're going to kick things off with some introductions. Let's have each of our panelists introduce themselves with their names, pronouns, hometowns, years, majors, and the first thing they're going to do when the quarantine is over.
All right, guys. So my name is Taylor. You can use she and her. I'm from Connecticut, and I'm in Wharton, and I'm currently going to concentrate in both global analysis and finance, and I'll probably minor in French. The first thing that I'm going to do once quarantine is over is probably go get some sushi with my dad.
Sweet. My name's Oliver. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm in college studying history and poli-sci with a concentration in international relations. And I'm from Miami Beach, Florida, so it's sunny. It's too bad I can't hang out with friends here. And the first thing I'm going to do once quarantine's over is probably hit the gym because I've been eating way too many snacks during this quarantine.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm Sam. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm from the Philly suburbs and the class of 2023, majoring in cognitive science. And after quarantine, I'm just going to go see my friends. I'm lonely.
Hey y'all, I'm Abby Schaefer. I go by she, her, hers, and I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. So it's nice and warm here, but a little bit too hot, to be honest. I'm a freshman and I'm in Wharton and I'm concentrating in finance and probably real estate, but I mean, I've changed that like 4 times. So yeah. And then I'm minoring in American public policy. And I'm really excited because my quarantine is over on Friday, which is really nice. And so I'm probably going to go to my favorite Greek restaurant with my best friend. So yeah.
Lucky.
All right. Hi, guys. My name is Akshat. I'm a freshman from Singapore. I'm in the engineering school studying computer science. My pronouns are he, him, his. And the first thing I do when quarantine is over is also probably get some good food at a restaurant.
Hi guys, I'm Julia. I use she, her, hers. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm a freshman in the college, but I'm switching into engineering to major in bioengineering. The first thing I'm gonna do after quarantine is over, I have a park really close to my house, so I cannot wait to go walk around with friends. It's so nice out here.
All right, so everyone, all the panelists went, so it's my turn. My name is Derek, and my pronouns are he, him, his. I'm currently living in the Villages, Florida. I'm a freshman in Wharton, intending to study management with a double specialization in organizational effectiveness and social and entrepreneurship, with a secondary concentration in social impact. I'm also considering a minor in psychology, and the first thing I'm probably going to do when quarantine's over is going to get a fat burrito from Moe's Southwest Grill. Moe's is better than Chipotle, hands down.
That's just
Controversial opinion.
True though.
Hey y'all, I'm Hunter. I go by he, him, his. I'm from Amarillo, Texas, graduating 22. Go Texas. I'm majoring in mechanical engineering, and I'm probably going to go climbing after this quarantine. So now that you've gotten a glimpse of who our panelists are, we'll begin with the most commonly asked questions submitted through the Google form. So the first question to get us started is, how have you changed the most in college? And how has UPenn influenced that change?
All right. So I guess some of this is going to sound kind of cliche, but I think one of the most important things that Penn has changed me in is time management. So before I came to Penn, I'm the kind of person who never ever makes a calendar. So I had never used Google Calendar or anything like that before coming to Penn. But I guess being at Penn, you're involved with a bunch of clubs, you're involved with academics, you're managing other commitments like research, you're managing if you're involved in startups and that. And all of this, it teaches you how to manage your time, how to take everything and not let anything get out of your hands. So I think just the environment at Penn and everyone being involved at everything, it just molds you to be better at time management. In addition to that, I think another thing that is amazing about Penn is the diversity of offerings. So, you have a cappella groups, you have dancing groups, you have clubs focused on careers like consulting, and you have people who are interested in everything. Like you'll find people who are doing dance and you'll at the same time they're doing consulting. So I guess Penn has just taught me to, right, explore my passions, I go singing if I just don't know how to sing, karaoke, whatever it is. And lastly, I think everyone at Penn is really, really talented and they really push you forward. They force you to challenge yourself. So I think Penn has also taught me to challenge myself and go forward and take initiative and, achieve newer things, I guess.
Cool. So in high school, I was like introvert, I guess is the way to describe it. But like I was always in the library, always studying. So like my social life wasn't like the optimum, I guess. But once I arrived on campus, I had like parties thrown in my face. Like the whole social life really like pushed me out of my comfort zone. So I guess what Penn specifically changed about me was getting more comfortable in social surroundings and getting used to a party environment. And honestly, like introducing me to a new community of friends that I never would have made if I had not gone to Penn. So I guess for me, the biggest change was being a more social person. Like I never would have imagined that I'd be involved in Greek life coming into Penn, but now I am. So I think that that's one thing that everyone goes through their freshman year is getting like changing themselves as a person in terms of like the social environment in which they interact with.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've definitely become more independent and more confident through my time at Penn. Just being on my own for the first time, making all my decisions myself, it kind of put me in a place outside of the comfort zone, and I was really able to reach out to new people and figure out who the kind of person I wanted to be. Similar to Oliver, I also joined Greek life, which is something I never imagined I would do before. I've met so many people who have brought out the best in me. And I've also become a harder worker, which is interesting to say because I've always worked hard. I'm sure all of you guys have too, to get into a place like Penn. But now you're surrounded by all people who have these huge ambitions and this huge drive to work really hard. And you can't really like slack off. You kind of got to be up there with them. So my work ethic has also improved tremendously. And it's just been a really positive change overall.
All right. So thank you everyone for your answers. We got our next question coming up. This is a good one. Describe UPenn's student culture and academic climate.
So I was actually a little surprised when I came to Penn because in my brain, it was going to be the super over competitive, very frustrating nature between students. And it's really just not like that at all. One of the most amazing things I found at Penn is that everyone genuinely wants to help each other. Like I have started to love studying in groups because you're working with a bunch of people who all want you to succeed, and like you help each other out even if you're studying completely different things. I'll be doing my physics homework while I have a friend in Wharton sitting next to me, and we'll, try to help each other out, and it turns into a really great bonding session, and also just like a lot of fun for everyone to be a part of. So I think that one of the really amazing things about Penn is that it's just so collaborative. Like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily group projects, because I know, like, coming from high school where I hated group projects, maybe that's not something you're looking forward to, but it's outside of group projects. It's people collaborate because they want to, not because they have to.
Yeah, so I guess like if I had to sum it up in to play a hard environment, but it's not with the sort of negative connotation that is used with that phrase. I think Penn students are very driven in their academic endeavors, especially in terms of independent research and getting involved on campus. But I think we also do have that play side to ourselves in terms of partying, Greek life, or any type of social organization exists on campus. And it's important to social lives do not revolve around or solely revolve around Greek life or parties. Like, I'm involved in a lot of clubs that have like downtowns, and we have like great times just hanging out with ourselves. And so I think overall what you'll find that's very unique at Penn is that people are very good at balancing their lives between their academics and their social endeavors. And as a result, they're able to maximize the most of their time and have fun while still doing.
So I'm going to piggyback on that. And so basically, I'm going to talk a little bit about student culture. And this is not like cliche in a sense, but it really, when I came to Penn, like I discovered that there is not at all one type of Penn student. Like, everybody does so many different and incredible things that it's not like, oh, this defines what a Penn student is. Everyone has so many wonderful endeavors, and it's just incredible to witness. And then also, and this was something I didn't expect either, everyone is so humble. Like, I'll casually find out that someone was like a Senate aide or like something like that, or like started their own company, or like, I don't know, they may have cured cancer or something like that, but they just like are so humble about it. And they don't even, it's like these crazy things that all these people can do, but like everybody's on an equal playing field. And that's something like really refreshing and really nice. And then the academic climate, it's definitely difficult. Like, I'm not going to deny that, but the thing is, the resources that Penn has are incredible, that they can make you succeed even if like you have no clue what's going on. And it's really just like everybody's there to help each other. And it's not, I mean, I came in thinking, like Julia said, that it was going to be super competitive, and I really didn't expect that at all. I mean, there definitely are people that think that, but like, and that are like that, but you just have to surround yourself with the right people. And I really do truly believe that like everybody finds their group at Penn, and that's just like something really wonderful and awesome. So yeah.
And the next one will be very relevant. So what do you recommend for choosing courses for the first semester? Do you think you should focus on breadth requirements or just go right into the important classes for your major?
I think, according to me, there should be a relative mix. So, at least from my experience, I think coming into Penn for the first semester, taking some courses from your major is quite important, because every major has these courses which are meant to tell you whether the major is right for you. So, if you come into Penn a bit unsure about what you want to do, then let's take the example of CIS, right? There's this class called CIS 160. It's famous for being a filter for CIS students to find out if you really want to pursue the subject. So it'll be nice in the first semester to find out whether the major is really for you, whether that's something you want to do at Penn for the next 4 years. But at the same time, I feel that the first semester is quite good for exploring some options. Like me personally, I took econ, management, and a bunch of other courses which were not entirely related to my major. but I think that was really fantastic because it, exposed me to like a new subject, and it allowed me to discover what I might potentially want to minor in. So I think that would be nice. And the first semester is really a time where you'll be, managing club recruitments, you'll be managing probably fraternity things and a number of other things. So it might be a good idea to balance some of your harder courses with some easier ones that are also interesting and that are also something that you wish to pursue, because you'll be adjusting to a new environment, making new friends, and that might be like a relatively intense process. So personally, if you can balance your harder classes with some ones that are interesting yet a bit easier, then I think that would be quite nice as well.
Yeah, so sort of piggybacking on what Akshat said, it is a mixture of both like classes that you might want to take versus classes that like you need to take in terms of fulfilling a major requirement. But at least for me, the first semester is the hardest in terms of adjusting to how Penn classes are and how they function. So my first semester, I took econ like Akshat. I hated the setting of being in a class with 300 other kids. I absolutely despised it. But the one class that I did love, that I did like, was a freshman seminar, which I think every freshman should take, whether it's their first semester or second semester. It's a great way to not only be in a small classroom setting of 15 kids, but it's all freshmen, so it's very comfortable for you to share your ideas, and you have a lot more personal time with the professor. So it's a great way to adjust to college life and the college academics that you would typically see at Penn. But like Akshat said before, you should also be taking, if you have an idea of what major you want to go into, try an intro course into that major to see if that major is actually for you. I wouldn't go straight into level 200 courses because you first should know 100% if you're going to go through with that major.
Yeah, again, I agree with everything those two guys just said. I definitely recommend a combination. If you have an idea of what major you want, definitely take the intro class for that if you can. But then I wouldn't go much further than that as far as credits for that major. Myself, personally, I came in fully expecting to be a neuroscience major. I took the intro class and I did not like it. And then I was also taking, more classes for neuroscience. And then the second semester is when I kind of took a step back, took more of my breadth requirements just to see what else was out there, what else I would like. Now I'm a CollegeSide major, so not a huge shift, but still different than what I expected. But I think it's really important just to see everything that's out there, because you might find that, now that you're outside the typical, requirements that your high school offers, you might fall in love with something you never expected before. And I also urge you to not overload your schedule, which is something I did my first semester. You're used to, waking up at 6:30 in the morning, going through classes till like 3, doing after school sports. I don't know what it is, but college hits different. I overloaded myself my first semester and I was exhausted all the time. So just make sure you put in a good balance. You have some breaks, try not to do more than 3-4 classes a day. Just, maybe talk to your advisor about that. Just try not to overload yourself because you're gonna be very busy.
All right, thank you so much. This next question is going to be a good one too. Question is, what do you dislike the most about UPenn / how can it improve?
All right, so I'm going to preface this by saying that the great aspects of Penn definitely outweigh any of its downfalls, but I would say the aspect of Penn that I most dislike would probably be the competitive nature of a lot of clubs. At the beginning of the year, there's this thing called Club Fair, where all the clubs line up on Locust Walk and you go and sign up for them, basically to apply for them. And a lot of clubs, especially Wharton clubs, such, your finance clubs, your private equity clubs, consulting clubs, they tend to have a lot of applicants, but are very selective. So I know a lot of people that apply for clubs that they really want or seem to be interested and don't get them. But I guess the upside of this is if you do get into a club that is kind of exclusive, then you have a really tight group of friends that you'll be with the entire time. But if I would say one thing, I wish that the club process specifically for Wharton clubs and the more exclusive ones were a little bit more open for more people.
Yeah, I definitely think that the club system at Penn can be a little bit nerve-wracking, but I think for me, the thing I dislike most about UPenn was I think a lot of kids kind of have a nonstop work culture. And I know it's been said before that most kids are very, very good at balancing, you know, extracurriculars with schoolwork. And I do think that is true for most people, but I definitely know some people who kind of will shame you for not working constantly. This is not at Derek. I promise you, Derek, stop. Derek is actually one of the most supportive people I know. He's one of those people who makes you want to work harder, and you're going to find most of those people at Penn. But I do think that some kids at Penn do kind of have a toxic work culture, and I think it's important to be on the lookout for knowing when you need a break and knowing when you need to just sort of relax and, you know, just take a break.
So y'all's answers are much better than mine. Mine is the weather. The weather kind of stinks, not gonna lie. It's like cold, and I'm from Texas, so like I don't experience cold weather. Um, yeah, I mean, like it's fine. You just get a big coat and then you're fine. So yeah, that's like my stupid answer to the question. But honestly, that's like the thing I dislike the most about Penn because it's a great school. Just saying.
Yeah, so on the flip side, what has been your most memorable experience at Penn?
So I would say, I don't know if I could name my most memorable experience, because my favorite part of Penn personally is that there's so many things to do. No matter what day it is, you could always find activities or different speakers that are coming to campus, and it's just a very dynamic culture. But I would say some of my favorite memories, I loved seeing Bob Iger talk. He's the CEO of Disney. That was super cool. I loved my bid sorority day, my bid day for my sorority. That was super fun. Getting dinners with my clubs. I do Mile UN. I love Mile UN. There's just so many great things that you're all will find, even just in like the normal hanging out in your dorm with people or going out to dinner. I'm excited for you all to experience that.
I mean, NSO was great, according to me. I think it was fantastic. It was like a great time. You know, you were coming like from summer, like a 3-month break, and you're just meeting all these fantastic people. And I mean, yes, true that a lot of their names you probably don't remember now, but I think it was just an amazing time. You're going to parties, it was raining outside, and you were just walking on the streets. And I think NSO was just one of the most memorable times because it really made Penn what it was for me. It allowed me to find my group of friends, and I think that was fantastic.
So my most memorable experience is like it happens more than once, so it's not like a single moment that I thought was really great. But honestly, just like walking down Locust and having your friends just like be like, "Hi, Abby," or like, "Hi, how are you doing?" Like, and then it's just like the most amazing feeling in the world, even though it's such a big campus, or like, well, not the campus itself, but like there are 10,000 undergraduate students. You see people that you know everywhere, which is so crazy. And so like Locust is great, Derek. And especially like when I give tours, so I'm a tour guide, people will like shout really funny things to you at Derek, who told me happy birthday when it's not my birthday, but it's okay. But like it's honestly like the most amazing feeling in the world, just like walking down and being like showered with love on this like, I don't know, 100-foot walkway. So it's really amazing.
All right. The next question is also a very good one and definitely a very important one that we wanted to address. So, imposter syndrome was a concept that many of us heard during our first year. So, I wanted to ask you to discuss some of your insecurities as, you know, you were an incoming freshman joining such a selective class of people.
I would say my biggest insecurities were socially, at least. Once you guys come to Penn, the first few days, it's called NSO, New Student Orientation, and it's a few days where you don't have classes and you're introduced to campus and life on campus, and there's a bunch of events hosted by the School for Students, and it's very fun. But I was a little worried coming in just because I didn't really know many people at Penn. And everyone says, you know, college is going to be so much fun. You're going to make so many friends. And in my experience, at least for that first week, it was really isolating for me because I was kind of shy. I didn't really know too many people. I was having all these worries, like, what if I never find my place here? What if I have to transfer? But I want you guys all to know, and my biggest piece of advice to you guys would be that everyone does find their place and their friends. It might not be in the first week, but no matter what, you'll find a group of people that you'll really like. So don't be worried about that on that end.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I was freaking out my first, coming to Penn. I was like, wow, I'm going to be meeting all of these super cool people. Like, am I going to find my place? Blah, blah, blah. And it definitely, it's not going to happen the second you step foot on campus, but it happens. And I think for me that the biggest insecurity I had joining the class was, like, how do I distinguish myself from all of these super freaking cool people who do super freaking cool things? How do I become my own person and the best version of myself? And I do think that plays in a lot to the social aspect. How am I going to find people who like me for me? Who am I going to have to become to be friends with these people? But I think I've sort of realized that, like, everyone is in that place. Everyone's worried about what everyone else is going to think about them, and everyone else is worried about distinguishing themselves and being someone special. And you're already in Penn. You got into Penn. That means that you are a really cool person, a really great person, a very talented person. The list goes on. And I'm not saying that, like, by me telling you this, you're going to step on campus and be like, great, I'm fine, I'm ready. It's hard, but everyone else is in the same boat, and remembering that, just keep doing you, and you'll find your place, you'll find your people, and you will be okay.
Again, I completely agree with everyone. I guess I had two main worries when I was coming to Penn. My first was also, just finding friends, finding a group. It's such a big undergraduate class size that, I just worried I could get, swept away and I'd just get lost and be really isolated. But I came in, I was lucky in that I made my best friends during NSO. I kept hearing, oh, your NSO friends aren't going to be your real friends. And for me, it actually worked out that they are my best friends. And you just meet such amazing people at Penn. Like, you find people who are similarly dedicated and motivated and hardworking and have all these different interests, come from all different walks of life. It's just such an incredible student body. You'll meet so many people. Like, don't worry about that at all. Like, I know it's hard not to, but you'll be completely fine. My second worry was I come from a pretty small public school that basically, like, they never really send kids to Ivies. So I was worried when I got in that maybe I wouldn't be good enough, I wouldn't be smart enough, wouldn't be able to keep up with everyone. And don't get me wrong, it's definitely a challenge coming in and adjusting to the workload. But the one thing that surprised me was that, I think this was mentioned before, but like, it's competitive, but everyone's there to help you. There are great resources available to you. Everyone you meet is super willing to, help you out with your homework or talk you through a problem. And how well you do at Penn just really depends on how hard you're willing to work and how much time you're willing to put in. So, everyone will be fine. You got in, you're good.
All right, for this next section, we're going to move on to rapid fire questions, where we compiled some of the shorter questions submitted. So the first question is going to be, what's your favorite first year class you ever took?
Okay, I think for me it was Management 198. So this class was basically on blockchain and cryptocurrency, and invited a bunch of speakers who were industry practitioners and professors who usually teach high-level classes or executive management classes, and I think this was fantastic.
My favorite first year class was a freshman seminar called Why College. It's taught by a professor in the Graduate School of Education, and it basically discusses the evolution of higher education throughout American history.
Mine was absolutely Meme 101, which is Introduction to Mechanical Design. It's a very, very intro level mechanical engineering course. It just introduces you to 3D modeling. I think it's super important if you have any interest at all in engineering. Like, I had never taken engineering anything, but just thought it sounded cool. And it's also an easy A, but you learn a lot. So definitely a plus.
Mine is Legal Studies 101. It's a business law class. It's actually a requirement for Wharton students, well, that or 101. But oh my gosh, I love that class so much. It was Professor Yonker, if you're interested. And thanks, Derek. He basically made all of these really, really boring cases sound so interesting. Like there was a case, sorry, I'm going too far, but like there was a case where this guy like sued Pepsi because he was like, I deserve a private jet. And so, yeah.
I would say my favorite class, this might cause a little bit of debate, but I really love my writing seminar class. People tend not to like writing sem just because it's a lot of work, but I really love my teacher and I love the topic of my writing seminar. I took journalism and conflict zones, and I just had a great group of kids in the class and I made a lot of friends.
My favorite was probably bioethics. I just had a really great professor and she just made it so interesting, and all the cases that she brought up were just, things you really would think about even after you left class. I recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, so we're all a little bit nerdy. What's your favorite place to study?
I think honestly, I have a few. So I think for group study, I love the Hill Atrium in the Hill College House. Otherwise, randomly, I like the Hill Study Lounge and the Sing Center for nets. I think that has a great view. And whenever I'm studying past 3 a.m., I like the Van Pelt basement, although that's quite bad.
All right, I have a lot of places. I would first say the reading room in Van Pelt is very beautiful on the inside and very quiet if you like that. I am a person that likes more noise or ambient noise when I'm studying, so I like Stommens to study, which is the Starbucks that's located under Commons Dining Hall. You can get food, there's always a lot of people there. Great place to talk and study.
Yeah, so I have three go-to. The first is Fisher Fine Arts Library. We're just inside. It's like when you need to study for like final exams, like you need like absolute silence. That's the place to go. Van Pelt Reading Room's gorgeous, but if you're picking a certain time to study, like sunset, go to like the 6th or 7th floor. It's like gorgeous windows. You can see the entire campus. It's awesome. But yeah, like mostly I'm more of like an ambient noise type of studier. So definitely Stommens is my go-to.
Yeah, I also have a few. One I like when I'm studying alone, like during the day, is Mobo in the quad. It's very quiet. People don't tend to go there, but it's also bright. They got some pretty cool windows. And then I also like Stommens. And if you're like me, you constantly need caffeine. Stommens or the bookstore Starbucks are highly recommended.
Mine might cause some controversy, but I actually really like the GSRs in Wharton or in Huntsman, whatever you want to call it. They're just like really quiet and nice, and they're great for group work. But I always go to like one of the bottom or top floors because otherwise it's like sadsing. So, yeah.
I am really surprised that no one said either of the places I'm about to say. So my favorite place to study normally is Platt, the performing arts house on campus. They're open until like midnight and then they kick you out, but they have really nice tables to just sit down. And there's not a lot of noise, but there's like, there's always people there. And during finals week, they feed you really well. They had like a mac and cheese bar and a taco bar, and it was great. After midnight, I actually hate studying in the Van Pelt basement. I don't know why. Like, I guess it's just a certain, people like it. Some people like it, some people don't. Personally, I would rather study in one of the rooftop lounges in the high rises. They're really beautiful. You can see a lot of the Philly area. They're pretty quiet, but there's always a lot of people and lots of different seating options. So I think it's a really great place to study with friends. And you can watch the sunrise if you're up that late.
All right. Our next question is, what is your biggest regret in college so far?
Shoot. Biggest regret. Oh, okay. My biggest regret in college was coming in feeling like I had to stick to the 4-year plan that had come up in my head. You know, I came in being like, I'm going to be a physics major and I'm going to do this, this, and this. And it's been 2 semesters and I'm switching schools. I'm switching from the college to engineering. And, you know, beginning of freshman year, me would have been freaked out about this. You know, this is not how I planned this, blah, blah, blah. But it's okay. Everything is going to be okay, even if it doesn't go according to plan. Like, the great thing about college is you have time to learn about everything going on, but also about yourself and about what you like and what you don't like. So don't be afraid of those things that maybe you didn't know you'd like, but you never know.
I guess I can go next. So I try not to live with regrets. That's sort of like my general persona. But if there's one thing I do regret, it's probably coming into Penn with the mindset that, you know what, like Wharton is like the one and only like important thing at Penn. Like I'm gonna transfer to Wharton at the end of my freshman year. And as a result, like I took a lot of courses my first semester that was really geared towards transferring to Wharton by the time I was finished with my first year. I think that's a very like bad way to look at Penn. I think you should be trying to reap as many opportunities as possible. I think freshman year is a great time to explore your interests and to take classes and meet like really interesting people, and not to have a solely like singular path of study or going about your day-to-day routine. So I think like if I had to do it over, I would maybe have like a less regimented idea of how I wanted to pursue my college education during the first semester. I think your first semester is like the one real opportunity that you have to sort of like make mistakes if you would, but like at the same time, like have fun if you can with the courses that you pick.
For me, I would say, I guess my biggest regret would be not signing up for more clubs. Personally, I love the clubs I'm in, but I think there's so many great opportunities at Penn. Derek mentioned in the comments that there's over 600 clubs and they're all very diverse. So my goal for next year, I'm going to join just a bunch of random fun clubs. Currently I'm in International Affairs Club and Mal UN and an art club, but I think I'm going to try some dancing next semester. And see, just kind of push my boundaries a little bit on that front.
So I think we have time
sorry.
for one more rapid fire question. What was the biggest difference between high school and college classes?
I would say the biggest difference for me was the structure of the classes. Like in high school, I remember, you know, you learn material and then you have a test. And there's multiple tests a year, but they don't really count too much just because there's a lot of them that build up over time. And in college, it's different. You might have some classes like that, but I'd say the majority of your classes give you a lot more time and leeway of when you want to do your work and when you want to study, but then there's 1 or 2 big tests like a midterm or paper or final that count for most of your grade, which can be stressful, but personally I think it's a better way of doing things because it gives you time to manage your schedule as you like it.
So I'm not gonna, this is gonna sound horrible when I say it, but it's not what I mean. Professors don't care about you as much as your teachers in high school did. Like in high school, like they hold your hand, they give you homework assignments every day, they remind you constantly when there's big assignments coming up for tests or exams, whatever. In college, it's very much you yourself conquering the world. And so you'll have maybe 2 lectures a week and 1 recitation, and then 2 months down the line, you'll have 1 huge exam that'll count for 40% of your entire grade. So it's very much up to you whether you succeed or not. And if you don't succeed and you're doing poorly in a class, your professor is really not going to care because he has much bigger problems on his plate. So I think that's like the biggest change in terms of being more reliant on yourself to stay ahead of the work and to actually do the work on time.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. It's really up to you You get what you put into it. You could definitely get away not doing any homework for weeks. You don't really have smaller grades going into, pad your grade book. It really is maybe just 2 or 3 assignments that count for 35-40% of your overall grade. And if you really let yourself go, it can be pretty detrimental overall. But just, it's really up to you to stay on top of it. And everyone can definitely pull it off. It's just a bit different.
So the biggest difference for me was like the giant lectures, and you'll run into that a lot freshman year, most likely. And so that's very different. And so kind of like what Oliver was saying, like you don't really have a connection with your professors. Like a lot of times you have more of like one-on-one with your TAs. But the really great thing about Penn is Penn has these things called like recitations that go with these giant lectures. So basically it's kind of like a required office hours, I would say. And it's like with your TA, and you'll like go in and get to have like a one-on-one to actually ask questions, instead of like raising your hand in like a 300-person class, because nobody wants to do that. So yeah, that was probably the biggest difference.
For me, I think that the biggest difference was that for most of your classes, people want to be there. It's not like high school where you have to take all of these classes. You really just don't have very much choice. People want to be in these classes. And of course, there's the occasional, requirement that maybe you don't enjoy too much. Like I personally didn't really love writing seminar, but I love the people in my class, so it made it worth going. You know what I mean? I think that in college, most of the time, people want to be there, and that shows when, people are putting in more effort to these classes. People are actually engaging in these discussions. People are, asking really just detailed and interesting questions that would never come up in high school.
Yeah, I think I second the point. I think for me too, one of the biggest differences was the class size. Because my high school had this format where every class was capped at 15 students. So you really had one-on-one interaction with the teacher, but that is not really how it is at Penn. The professor might not know you unless you go out of your way to like interact with them. But I think recitations, as I think someone mentioned before, I think they are definitely great. They allow you to interact with TAs, and I think that's awesome.
All right, and that concludes our prepared questions. So there were a lot of questions. We were unable to answer all of them, but we tried to include the ones that were most requested. We're certain that all the panelists have more and have more experiences, and everyone in the audience has more questions. So please feel free to use the raise hand feature on Zoom right now if you have a question, or just drop it in the group chat. You can also private message any one of the panelists if you want us to answer the question anonymously. For everyone else, please be respectful to the person asking the question by staying muted. Dang, y'all are shy.
Yeah, if no one has any questions right now, we have another prepared question we can kind of go through, and you guys can kind of just brainstorm any uncertainties, any other curiosities you guys might have about Penn. And this one might be helpful for deciding housing. So we're going to ask our panelists, what's the best first-year house?
Okay. For me, hands down, I love Reapy in the quad. There are a lot of dorms, but the quad is the most historic dorm of them all, and it's been known to be the hub of freshman life. So I personally love living in the quad. It is true that it's a little dirtier than the other dorms, than the newer dorms, but I think that honestly makes up for it. And I say Reapy is the best of the three. houses in the quad just because it's a little bit quieter. There's hardwood floors. And we also have the best dorm-wide events. Our food nights, our pasta nights, fantastic.
Yes, I also love the quad. I would recommend where in the quad. Ultimately, I don't think it really matters, but you have a lot of house pride. But as mentioned, it's definitely old, so there are cleanliness issues. I got really unlucky with my room. I was in a basement, and outside my window was a wall, so there's no natural lighting. But despite that, I would do it again a million times. I loved it so much. You meet so many of your friends there. It's just a great place to live. Totally recommend it. Very Hogwarts like.
think this is gonna get some disagreement, but I'm just gonna say I like the quad. I like the people I've met there. Absolutely love them, but I hate living in the quad. I think the bathrooms are just purely bad, and I don't. And there are like mice and a number of other problems. I think one of my friends had like rats going around his room when I was there. So I love Hill personally. I think Hill is nice. I love the Hill Study Lounge. I'm almost always there. I love the Hill Game Lounge. So I'm just gonna say that yeah, Hill is also a really nice dog.
I just want to like give a counter opinion to that. I do think the quad is like the best place to live as a freshman. Like I truly believe it's like the social hub of your freshman social like experience. Just having like I don't know how many, maybe like 1,000 kids like right next to you, and like those all interactions that you have, whether it's like going through the gates or just seeing them in the hall, that's what sort of makes your freshman experience. And like I never saw a rat, I never saw mice, I never saw cockroaches. Like my room was great. That's based on luck, I know. But like some of my best friends I met in Repeat. So like every house is great. Don't get me wrong. Hill is fantastic. It has the dining room. The quad Repeat specifically is great. But just know that when you're picking a house, like the most important things for you to be looking for is what type of social environment do you want, and what type of like rooming situation do you want. Like do you want something that was renovated very recently, or do you want that old feel homage that an older university like Penn has? So I think you should keep those in mind, but definitely the quad I think is the best, but Repeat specifically.
So I was in Ware and I absolutely loved it. Julia lived right above me. Well, like kind of above me, same difference. But so we shared a bathroom. Our bathroom was super clean. Like it was really nice, honestly. I didn't have any issues. I was also on the first floor. I never had a mouse, like I never had a rat or anything like that. I did see a cockroach once, but it was more of a meme than like anything else. You can go on UPenn, like the memes Facebook page, and it's on there. But like I loved it so much. I met some of my best friends there. Like my best friends like lived down the hall from me, and I absolutely loved it. Honestly, anywhere in the quad I would say is great. Where is like smack dab in the middle of the two gates, so that's like why everybody wants it basically. And so that's like, but I loved Ware so much. And yeah.
Yeah, where is really just where it's at. I like literally. Quad is the center of everything. I'm someone who spends most of my time in like the engineering quad or the physics building, which are, the very end of campus, and they're closest to Hill. So my brain was like, yeah, maybe I should do Hill, but I don't think I would have had the same freshman year experience if I hadn't lived in the quad. I'm just going to say this. I never had anyone ask me to meet them anywhere other than the quad. It was always, let's meet at the quad. Let's meet at this person's dorm in the quad. I just think it's the most convenient. And it's also just super social and super great. And like Taylor said, pasta nights, amazing.
So I actually got a question about Greek life, and anyone please chime in and add to this. I know a lot of us are at Greek life, but something about Greek life is like, it may seem like huge at the time, but only like 25% of people are actually involved in Greek life. So it all just like depends on the people you surround yourself with. Like if you surround yourself with people that rush, then like you're gonna be like in a group that's involved with Greek life. But I promise you it's not everything. honestly, there are some clubs that are like fraternities and sororities, like we talked about, like BYOs and stuff like that. So yeah, and then also, so we rush, or like recruitment, is always in the spring. So for girls, there's like the formal recruitment process where you stand outside and like you get dressed and you look nice and you have these like 5-minute conversations with people. I actually really, really enjoyed my rush experience. Like I enjoyed getting to talk with people, and I didn't hate it, which a lot of people say that they hated going through that whole process. So I actually really enjoyed it. And it's a little bit different for guys. So they do something called dirty rush, which means they like dirty rush you in the fall. So you'll go to different events. And then there's a little bit of dirty rush in the spring as well before you get a bid. And so the guys and girls are definitely very different, and there are ups and downs to both. But in addition to on-campus fraternities and sororities, there are also off-campus ones as well that are not affiliated with Penn, that Penn students are involved in. So there are 2 off-campus sororities, and there are 8 on-campus sororities. So there are 10 in total, but that's only for like lettered sororities. And also there are sororities and fraternities that are like cultural ones, community service-based fraternities and sororities, and others like pre-med ones. There's one called AIR, pre-business, like business fraternities. So there are so many options. But like the thing is, and I'd just like to reiterate this, not everyone is in a sorority or fraternity. Some of my closest friends are not in it at all, just because it wasn't for them. And that's totally okay. Like we said before, like everybody finds their group, and you don't have to be in Greek life to find your group. But I do think it's been a positive experience that I'm really happy I joined.
Yeah, and also really quickly to add on that. Oh, sorry, Julia, you want to go?
No, go ahead.
Okay, just really quickly, because I know a lot of people like want to know like how to get like involved in the rush process and how to get like on the quote unquote like list, like the rush list for fraternities and sororities. The best way is just to find members on social media, add them as friends, reach out to them. Like honestly, it might sound really stupid, like nerve-wracking in the moment, but it's a great way for them to get you on their radar. So like the hard part about rush is like getting out of your comfort zone and talking up to every single person that you meet, whether it's at a party or if you see them in a club or on Locust Walk. Just talk to them. Like the best way to find your place on campus is to talk to the people who are actually involved in those organizations.
I just want to reiterate the point that like such a small percentage of Penn is in Greek life, because one of the things that's really amazing to me is that, you know, I'll do things like these panels or whatever, and I'll see, you know, people will write out the activities they're involved in, and I'm always surprised at how many people put Greek life, because, you know, when I was touring schools, I remember touring some schools in the South where if you were not in Greek life, you just did not have a social life, and it's just so not like that at Penn. I think one of the great things is that even if you are in it, it's really about what you put into it. Like I had another commitment this semester, but I still rushed, and I just wasn't able to give 110% to my sorority in the end, but they're still very like welcoming, and I still feel like I'm a part of it. And I think that Penn Greek life is just a really, really chill place, but also just a really great place to meet people, no matter what you're interested in. If you want to do a business frat, if you want to do a service frat, if you want to do, you know, your stereotypical Greek life, it's all amazing and all a lot of fun.
Just to add on to that really briefly, I also joined Greek life, and it's not something I kind of ever imagined for myself. But coming to Penn, like my roommate would plan on rushing, a lot of my other friends plan on rushing. Figured, okay, what the hell, it can't hurt to go through this 1 week to see what it's like. And I ended up joining a sorority and meeting some of my best friends there. And I think Penn sororities and frats too probably are definitely different than like in the South or other schools. It's definitely more laid back, but you kind of see where you fall in, and you get the level of like, I guess, involvement that you want. If you want to be really active in it and go to a lot of parties, like there's definitely a place for you. If you want to be also like more laid back, but definitely have a foot in the social scene, there's a place for you too. So.
Yeah, I guess just to expound upon that, for a lot of people at Penn, clubs also take this role of maybe like a Greek organization. I'm in a club for international affairs, and I've met most of my best friends through that club. A lot of kids do a cappella groups, or for example, Kite and Key, which is the tour group. And all the clubs that you join will have social aspects that are super fun, and you'll meet a lot of great people. So you definitely do not need to be in Greek life. It's benefited me personally. I know it's benefited a lot of people, but it's not something that's a necessity at Penn, and you'll find your group no matter where you go, and you'll have a great time.
Awesome. That will be our last question because we're out of time. We'll also have a few panelists who have some time afterwards to stay for a little bit. So if you have any more specific questions, feel free to stay. We want to thank all the panelists for taking the time to be here, as well as you all for participating. Hopefully you all found this helpful, informative, and enjoyable. We also want to take this opportunity to invite you all to help us expand CollegeSide Chats. This is very much a word of mouth project, and we need all the help we can get. Our goal is to host several chats across various universities, and we need help with marketing and outreach, which can be as simple as just helping post our next chat in another college's Facebook page or sharing our Instagram posts. With all that said, thank you again for joining us. Thank you, panelists, for volunteering your time, and congratulations to all of you for your acceptances. We hope that you and your loved ones will stay safe and healthy. Welcome to Penn.
Yay.